Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks today. We're talking Tuesday, November 26th, NBA betting slate. I'm going to have 4 players that we are backing for NBA tonight, one of which we are taking at a juicy ladder play as well. So it's going to be 5 bets total locked in, backing 4 guys. Of course, before we can get into today's picks, we got to do a recap from yesterday, which ended up being a fine day overall. It could have been a lot better. We cashed out Kyrie Irving over 26.5 points. We cashed out LaMelo Ball, mainline and ladder play of 35 plus points as well. We lost Jakob Poeltl, 30 plus points plus rebounds. That one didn't even come close. And then I added a late play of Sabonis over 6.5 assists. That one didn't really come close either. So if I just did not add that late Sabonis play, it would have been a much better day, but I didn't. So we can only track what we have. But 3-3 overall, including all the ladder bets, up 0.55 units. We'll take a day we can get in the green. Just could have been a lot better. On the entire season, we're still working our way back to getting in the green on the year. We're down a little bit over 3 units on the year, which isn't terrible in the grand scheme of things, especially when you consider how dark things got about a week ago. Hopefully, where we have a really good day today, get ourselves in the green on the year, and then we really start cooking from there. So for those of you that have been rocking with me this entire season, I appreciate you. For those of you that are new, you probably missed the worst part of the year, so congratulations for that. Would appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. And then either way, if you're watching this, like and comment. All that stuff helps me out a ton. And let's get into these bangers. So play number 1. We're looking at the Bucks versus Heat game. And this is actually our ladder play as well. So we're looking at Tyler Herro over 20.5 points, minus 115 odds at DraftKings for the full unit McSlam. And then we're putting a half unit on him to get to 25 plus points. A half unit on that plus 210 odds at Bet365. You guys already know the system play here. You're going to want to take your guard point props against the Bucks when you're talking about a guard that can run a bunch of pick and rolls and that can either pull up from mid-range or from 3-point range. This has been a system play against the Bucks dating back to last season, and it's been fruitful this year as well. And you look at the last 10 games, talking about this matchup against the Bucks defense. The Bucks are allowing the 3rd most pull-up 3-point attempts in the entire NBA and the 4th most above the break 3-point attempts in the entire NBA as well. Obviously, those two numbers are correlated. It shows you that teams are shooting a lot of above the break 3-pointers, and the majority of those are coming from the pull-up. And you look at Tyler Herro, if you know his game, it comes at no surprise. He scores the most points on the Heat via pull-ups. He also takes the most above the break 3-pointers for the Heat as well. He's actually taken the 5th most above the break 3-point attempts per game in the entire NBA. And over half of his shot attempts come from the above the break 3-pointer. And the Bucks are the 4th worst defense in the NBA at guarding those shots. So if you wanted to just do 3-pointers, you can do that. I felt as though points were a little bit safer because depending on how deep the Bucks drop on their drop coverage, Tyler Herro can pull up from mid-range as well. And you look at another play type. All these are kind of related, right? But the play type in which the Bucks defense is weak, guarding the pick and roll ball handler, they allow the 7th most points per possession to the pick and roll ball handler. And that's the play type in which Tyler Herro scores the majority of his points specifically. And also he scores the majority of the points on the Heat, or the most, I should say, he scores the most points on the Heat as the pick and roll ball handler as well. And even though Jimmy Butler's back in the lineup, I'm not scared off of this one. Tyler Herro has gone over the mainline play of 20.5 in exactly half his games with Jimmy Butler. He's averaging about 22, just under 22 points per game in those 10 games with Jimmy. But it's a nice fade of recent results. Tyler Herro has gone under this number in 3 of his last 4. You look at the stretch prior to that, he went over in 5 straight, and that 5th one was 40 points against the Pistons. So it only makes sense after hitting this in 5 straight and after a 40-point burger, he's going to come down a little bit. Again, missed it in 3 of 4, so nice fade of recent results there. In his last game out, he shot 8 of 25 from the field. Now he gets a much easier matchup against a Bucks defense that is perfect for his scoring type. So I'm expecting a bounce back, positive regression type of game for Tyler Herro. That's play number 1 in our ladder play as well. Next up, we're heading to the Bulls versus Wizards game, and I'm taking Nikola Vucevic over 5.5 first quarter points, plus 104 odds at FanDuel. So it's been a while, but we're going back to the first quarter market, which was very fruitful for us last year. Still kind of navigating our way through it this year. But this is a great matchup. One would call it a smash matchup for Vooch against the Wizards. And he has historically been a very fast starter this season. So that's why I opted to go with the first quarter points market as opposed to the full game. The most frustrating thing that can happen is when you take a first quarter and they go under and they go over in the entire game. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But you look at the season. I mean, Vooch has scored 6 or more points in 13 of 18 games this entire season. 13 of 18. And that includes an absurd stretch where he did it in 8 straight games. Good matchups, bad matchups, it didn't matter. He was scoring 6 points in the first quarter. Since that 8-game stretch, he's only done it in 1 of 3 since. So another situation where we get a little bit of a nice fade of recent results. But in general, and this is kind of true for a lot of centers, you can rely on them being fast starters, and you can rely on Vooch being a fast starter as well. And then, again, this is an amazing matchup against the Wizards. A smash matchup. You look at the play types where Vooch scores the majority of his points. The Wizards are weak in almost all of those categories, including the 2 most important ones. And you can look at this on Props Madness. It literally shows you the percentage of where their points come from in terms of a play type. And then it matches that up with how the defense guards that play type. And you see a lot of green, which is good for Vooch. The 2 most important ones, pick and roll, roll man, makes up about 25% of Vooch's points. The Wizards allow the 3rd most points per game to pick and roll roll man in the entire NBA. Next up are post-ups. Another 18% of Vooch's points come to post-ups. The Wizards allow the 3rd most points per game via post-ups in the entire NBA. Those are the 2 plays in which Vooch scores the majority of his points. Those are the 2 ways in which a lot of centers score the majority of their points. So when you keep that in mind, it comes as no surprise that per props.cash, the Wizards have allowed the most points per game to centers in the entire NBA. And they're also considered the best matchup for center point props as well. Literally 30th, best matchup for center point props. We're just isolating this one to the first quarter because Vooch has been a fast starter in the first quarter. Let's hope that he comes through for us, cashing out this plus money banger. That's play number 2. Next up, we're heading to the Lakers versus Suns game. Kevin Durant over 8.5 rebounds plus assists, plus 105 odds at DraftKings. Now for this play, I will admit, I'm normally not a hit rate type of guy. I like to tell people hit rates because it just kind of shows you how frequently a player is hitting the number that we're betting. But there are way, way more factors that go into it, which is why you see a lot of my analysis is based on the matchup. And then I'll get to the hit rate a little bit later. I got to admit, this one, a lot of this play is simply just a hit rate play because I just think the books have this one priced incorrectly. Sometimes we're targeting juicy matchups. This one, I just think we're targeting a bad line. And for a random market like rebounds plus assists, it's not totally surprising. And I can kind of understand the argument that the books just have this one at the wrong price. Like if it's a way more heavily bet market, like a points prop, it's way less frequently that a book would have that priced incorrectly. But for rebounds, assists, only real losers like us are betting that market. And to tell you guys what I'm talking about, so Kevin Durant has played in 9 games this season. He's gone over this number in 8 of those 9 games. The only game he missed it was the very first game of the season. So he's done it in 8 straight. And even if you look at that first game of the year, he was pretty unlucky to go under. He had 7 rebounds, but he had 0 assists on 6 potential assists. With 6 potentials, being safe, you should expect at least 3 actual assists, probably closer to 4. There's like a 50 to 60% hit rate, closer to 60 for assist to potential assist ratio. So he missed it in that one. And then he cashed it in 8 straight games. He's averaging about 10 combined rebounds plus assists on the entire season. That includes the game in which he went under the first game of the year. And then you also look at this matchup against the Lakers. He's crushed it in this specific market, in this specific matchup. He's gone over this number in 10 straight games against the Lakers. You know, Kevin Durant loves showing up against LeBron James. Doesn't always come from a points perspective. Sometimes it comes in rebounds and assists. Again, he's hit this in 10 straight games against the Lakers. 9 of those have been when he was a member of the Suns. So the very last one, the 10th one, he was still on the Nets. But since he's been a member of the Suns, 9 straight, and then he also hit it in his last game against when he was on the Nets as well. Against the Lakers, he's averaged over 12 combined rebounds plus assists. So he's been hitting it by a pretty decent mark. And, you know, Ladder potential. If you want to take this one 10 plus, which you can get at Flip, which you can get at Caesars, I wouldn't blame you. Because I got a plus price on this one, I just went with the over 8.5, but 10 plus would not be a bad play as well. And these two have played each other twice this year. Kevin Durant obviously went over in both of those games as well. And you look into the numbers. Nothing about it screams fluke. It's not like he has an outlier potential assist to assist ratio, an outlier rebound chances per rebound ratio. Everything kind of makes sense. And that this number is just priced a little bit too low. The last 10 games against the Lakers, he's averaged 9.4 potential assists per game and about 11.4 rebound chances per game. So being safe, I'll call it 55% conversion rate on the potential assists, and I'll call it a 50% conversion rate on the rebounds. Again, that's playing it safe. Normally those numbers are closer to 60 and 55%, but even if we go safe, 55% conversion rate on the potential assist, 50% on the rebound chances gets us to over 10 combined rebounds plus assists if we're just going off of the potentials of what he's had in his last 10 games against the Lakers. Very confident in this one. Very confident that he goes over once again tonight as our third play. Lastly, fourth and final pick of the video as we take a deep breath here. Spurs versus Jazz. You guys probably already knew this was coming. Chris Paul, 10 plus assists, plus 125 odds at BetMGM. The Tyler Herro was a system play. This Chris Paul one is a system play. Point guard assist props against the Jazz. Now, the Jazz aren't quite the Bulls. The Bulls are another system play type of matchup for point guard assist. The Jazz aren't the Bulls. They're as close as you can possibly get to being the Bulls. The Jazz are allowing the second most assists per game and are the second best matchup for point guard assist as well. And we're going to get into all those numbers, but just kind of wanted to show you why it's a system play in general. Looking at Chris Paul, he had a slow start from an assist perspective on the year. On the year, he's only gone over this number in 10, or excuse me, he's only gotten 10 assists in 8 of 17 games, so just below a 50% hit rate, but he missed it in the first 4 and then has done it in 8 of 13 since. So the 8 of 13 looks a lot better than 8 of 17, obviously. And he's also done it in 2 of 3 games against the Jazz this season, averaging over 18 potential assists in those 3 games. That's a very reasonable number. If you're getting about 18 potential assists, asking him to get to 10 actual assists is very reasonable. In the one game that he missed, so I mentioned he went over this number against the Jazz in 2 of 3. The one game he missed, he had 20 potential assists, only 9 actual assists. If that happens tonight, that would be brutal because, I mean, a sub 50% conversion rate is terrible. Getting hooked is terrible. That would be brutal if that happened. But you'll gladly take 20 potential assists. You'll gladly take the average of 18 that he's had in the 3 games against the Jazz. And as I mentioned, Jazz are allowing second most assists to point guards under the second best assist matchup for point guard assist props as well. All that stuff makes sense when you dig into it, right? You look at where the Jazz is weak. They're allowing the 4th most points per possession to the pick and roll man. That's an assisted play. They're allowing the 8th most points per possession via dribble handoffs. That's most likely an assisted play. They're allowing the most points per game off of screens and the most points per possession off of screens as well. That's an assisted play. And the Jazz are allowing the 2nd most catch and shoot, made catch and shoot 3-pointers on the 3rd most attempted catch and shoot 3-pointers. A catch and shoot, that is an assisted play as well. All of those 4, more often than not, are going to be assists for whoever's making the pass, which for the Spurs is Chris Paul more often than not, which is why I love this play. And that's all we got. 4 players, 5 bangers for you guys to lock in for today's NBA betting slate. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then the last thing I'll mention is the last thing I mention at the end of every video. I do have a dub club where I send all my plays out. It's only $5 a month, and it gets you everything I'm playing across all sports. So right now it's NFL and NBA. Admittedly on a cold streak in the NFL, but we were red hot prior to that, so that'll turn around. But it gets everything I'm playing sent directly to your phone via text, email, or Telegram. The picks are the exact same, so the picks that you see me give out on YouTube and Twitter, the same exact picks you see me give out on Dub Club. The only difference is you get them early on Dub Club. So if you're watching this video and the odds are different, unfortunately, I can't help it if the odds change over the course of a day. That's why I have the Dub Club, because the first thing I do is send them out there, so you're able to get the odds that I lock them in at. Like I send a screenshot of my slip, so you can kind of tell that I'm actually betting this. So if you're interested in that, again, link is in the description in the pinned comment. If you're not interested in that, it's no problem. You can still get everything for free on YouTube and on Twitter. And that's all we got. I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.